I got a question for you, John.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's just because I've gotten better and learned more, but I feel like as a coach, the technique and the way you guys teach is like totally evolved. Like I remember going to class back in the day and it'd be like, all right, this is side control and this is how you trap the arm.
It was it was more standard.
No, it's not. I mean, you could.
Most schools that you go to, if you go to your typical school, I mean, the format is extremely predictable. It's you do some type of warm up, whether it's like jogging, calisthenics, shrimp drills, whatever, and then you've got a half hour of technique at essentially zero drilling resistance, which is fine to a certain extent, and then you spar for a half hour. It's like a half hour, a half hour, a half hour, and then class ends. Like that's pretty standard, and that works. People get good that way. But I really like the way that John Danaher thinks about it, where this guy's going, it shouldn't take 10 years to become an expert. Like his marker is like a 5-year window. He thinks you should be able to get to like expert level with the proper training protocol at like the 5-year mark. And so I've got a couple students like in my mind that I sort of marked at year 0, like, day 1. And I want to see if like within our newer protocols, like we can get them to expert level in 5 years. That would be, I'm not saying I'm going to give them their black belt in 5 years, but like I want to see them
they
like
can hold their own,
beating me and the other black belts and black belts at competition. That would be really cool. So
that's kind of a cool.
That's actually that's a pretty interesting approach from your perspective.
It's not original. It's not mine, but I listened to Danaher talk about that, and I thought like, yeah, I mean, he cited all these examples of wrestlers and judokas and tennis players and these people from other sports who in 5 years they were world class just because they had the right coach and the right training protocol. So I think it's doable.
How much of that is coaching and how much of that is like natural, like competitive ability or athleticism?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you have to have the talent.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like what I'm saying is as a coach, you have to have a talented athlete. But I've also seen talented guys completely waste their time at gyms before. So yeah, I mean, you can be a real talent, but if your coach doesn't have like the proper curriculum and proper training protocol, then you're just going to be,
whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it's both. It's definitely both. I think sometimes coaches get too much credit, and then I think sometimes, maybe certain athletes get too much credit. I don't know. It just kind of depends on what situation you're talking about.
Do you have a hard time compartmentalizing whether you're like you're still the athlete, you're still the grappler, you're still the competitor versus I'm the coach, I'm the leader? You know what I'm saying?
Biggest challenge by far.
That's what yeah.
It's the biggest challenge.
I think about that a lot actually, randomly for you.
It's really hard. And I've just kind of said that at this point, because of where I am in my life, competition is always going to be really important, but if I had to prioritize one over the other, it's going to be the school, like from here forward. But I don't think I have to choose right now. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was like a really casual place where nobody competed and it was just a bunch of beginners. But like, I can kind of like right now, I feel like it's all doable within the same room. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I can teach and I can train and I can drill with everybody because the school is just at a certain level now where, it feels possible. I think it might have, I don't know, was it harder to do that in the beginning or easier? I'm not sure. But either way, it's the single greatest challenge of doing this for a living is that. Yeah. Because I do not want to hang it up.
I was going to say,
I have no interest in hanging it up.
Like your ego has to, at a certain point, like it's there. Everybody's got it.
I love competing. I love flying to another city. I love staying in a hotel room by myself, like away from the world. And then I just love stepping on that mat, and I have no idea who the other black belt is. He's from another city. I love the way the mat feels under my feet. Like I love the whole thing. And the idea of giving it up is just cripplingly depressing to me. I can't even imagine giving that up.
Yeah, but I wouldn't look at it as giving it up. I'd look at it as like you're shifting your gift.
I just don't want to have to do that until I'm
right, of course
70. You know what I mean?
But I mean, the beauty of the game is you can do it and compete, you know, till you want to stop. Like, I mean, for the most part, like, I don't know, your body is not, yes, it's getting abused, but like, I suppose I have a different perspective, like coming from a rugby background. Like, if you're playing past like 33, 34, you are insanely lucky, or the level you're playing at is just rubbish. But like,
Yeah.
the jiu-jitsu game, like, you could stay doing that, I don't know, until your 50s, 60s, like moving well. Like, I couldn't go out and run around a training right now if I wanted to for like a high level rugby setup.
Okay.
But like, I wouldn't be able, physically, I wouldn't be able to do it.
A lot of steroids in rugby.
I don't know. Like, I know dudes who are on the juice, but I wouldn't say a lot.
What
Yeah.
are like the common injuries? Collarbone? You guys just straight up tackle each other with no pads, right?
Shoulders, ankle, pick something. I mean, I've had 5 facial fractures.
Ooh.
I've had shots in my neck. I've got bad discs. I've got, like, I've separated my hip. My right knee clicks. Like, I've had surgery both ankles, my right elbow.
And you chose jiu-jitsu as your follow-up sport.
Bro, I needed something, like, legit. The only
right.
reason I got into rugby is because I needed, like, I knew I was able to hit people after I played hockey, because I played hockey in college. And so that's kind of like the shoe into jiu-jitsu is like, all right, cool. Well, I can still tackle people,
Right.
but I land on a soft mat instead of hard ground.
That's legit.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I got a lot when I put up the podcast announcement on my Instagram was, I think the overwhelming majority of the requests was just about mindset and competition mindset. And given that you've done ice hockey and then also rugby at, like, you know, some pretty competitive levels, like, do you notice parallels between the two sports when it comes to mindset, or maybe just in general? Like,
I mean, yeah, I think it's very much an individual mindset. I'm grossly competitive.
yeah.
And so that's why I like this, because it's one-on-one. I've never played a one-on-one sport before, but like with all my other sports, I always played like, I need to be better than the guy across from me. And if I'm better than that guy, then I know I've done my job, like, into the hole. But I don't know, my mindset is, and it's great now because it's like, I'm going to make this guy look like a total asshole. Like when I played other sports, that was my goal, is to make the guy across from me, make him look like an idiot, like incompetent. And hopefully he just falls off the face of the earth when I'm done with it. And so it's kind of nice you can do that in jiu-jitsu. It's like, all right, well, my goal is to choke this dude out. End goal, I mean, not really, but like, I'm fighting to kill this guy.
Right. So do you feel like you thrive in a mindset that's more
Back against the wall, ready to go? I love that.
I would say, like, you thrive in a mindset that's maybe more just kind of ruthless.
Yeah.
Right? You like that? I mean, it works for a lot of athletes. It doesn't work for everybody.
No, I mean, like in the gym, like there's some roles where, you know, it's okay, this is going to be, I'm going to get pumped. And I'm going to put myself in a position where I could at least ward this off, or like be smart about it. And there's some where I'm like, all right, I'm going 100 miles an hour. I'm going to see what I can find here. But yeah, I like that, knowing that I'm trying to literally kill this guy or snap his bones.
So do you have to temporarily dislike the person you're going against? Like, if you're at a competition, I mean,
I hate him.
You have to.
When I roll, I hate whoever I'm rolling with.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
See,
wow.
Like if I'm with someone who's like at a, I don't want to say similar level because I don't want to talk shit on anybody, but like if I know that like I'm gonna go against somebody, I know it's gonna be a battle. I hate you. But if I know I'm going with somebody who's,
but you never hurt anybody, which
no,
is, you know,
no,
so you have a lot
because
of
I mean, like I'm able to temper it back, because for what in a competition, I did one competition, and I think I got like 6 guillotines in, and I would have taken these dudes out cold if they didn't tap, just because.
Sure.
Fuck those guys, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
See, I
That's interesting.
perform best physically with that mindset, but I've worked very hard to not have that mindset because it works against me mentally.
Like it makes
Like,
you
I feel
tense and
like
tired,
you
or-
said, like I'm gonna go 100 miles an hour, see what I find, and I'm gonna get somewhere. Like if I piss myself off and I go to like that bull mindset,
Yeah.
that's where I feel like athletically I perform the best, but mentally it really works against me. I need to be the calm, loose noodle fluid, but then I feel like I don't have that gear. So it's like this thing I've been wrestling with for a while.
That's a very fine balance.
Yeah.
Do you want a cup?
I got one.
Okay.
Bro, you're terrifying. I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
When I first started, dude, I was so scared of you.
Oh no, dude!
Because you breathe like this.
I've
And I'm
talked
like,
about,
oh, man,
me
this
and
guy
John have
hates
talked
me,
about it for
dude.
years. How I need to
My man goes hard.
be more, yeah, but not like I used to. I feel like I used to just want to fucking go, and now it's like I'm trying to be more.
You dialed it back. Pick your
more-
spots.
Yes, pick my spots.
Pick your spots.
And that's what I'm. That's like the fork. That's like not the fork. That's like the speed bump I'm dealing with now.
So he performs best with a lot of animosity. I mean, I think that's probably an appropriate word, at least for a competition, like a proper competition. You know, you want to have some animosity. You feel like you do as well. I feel like I'm most efficient if I just think of it as a workout or a strength and conditioning session.
Ah.
That's an interesting perspective.
I have a few I have a few like phrases and a few mantras I say to myself, and it's all geared toward making it just like a conditioning session.
Just like going through your process.
If I ever feel like I'm losing focus or I need to like draw my attention back to what I'm doing, one of my mantras is athlete mode. So it's like not fighter mode, not kill mode, athlete mode. So
I almost feel that from my perspective going with you. Like I feel
how
you.
How do you mean that?
I feel you like on your game. Like I feel you. I'm big on like body awareness and like off of how I feel. So it might not sound
The vibes,
totally normal. Dude? Yeah, the vibes, the energy. But I feel you like sticking to your game plan.
Is it the quads and the 5-inch inseam?
It's gotta be the 5-inch inseam, dude.
It's the back. I feel you like sticking to your game plan, like dialed in, like going back to like your routine spot. Not just kind of like riffing off the cuff, like freestyling it.
It depends on the day.
I mean, maybe that's just with you obviously have experience to.
It really just depends on the day, the week, the month. This past month, the past 2 months, I've tried to really dial it back and just roll light and loose and technical. But you can't do that, I can't do that in January because I'm competing on January 30th. I'm going to the Austin Open. And so I'm going to have to find sort of a bumped up level of intensity preparing for that. But yeah, it just depends. For me, it's like, it's all periodization. You don't want to spar the same way or train the same way year round. Like we have no off season.
I talk about this all the time.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's no off. So
Yeah.
like nobody tells you, okay, guys, we'll see you in 3 months. You know, like any other, right? Isn't any other sport?
Yeah.
This is going to happen.
And then you
right?
get really, really excited when you come back. And
Yeah.
not to say that we don't get excited about jiu-jitsu, but that break, like mentally, you come back and you're like, so like, say you're playing rugby. It's like first day of rugby practice. You're so fired up, I'm sure.
Dude, I
But
love
jiu-jitsu,
training,
you're
yeah.
like, yeah, I love jiu-jitsu, but it wasn't, I did not have it for 3 months.
Well, in November, I sparred really light. So I would spar pretty frequently, but it was very light, very relaxed, very loose, a lot of flow, still moving, but a lot of flow. And then in December, I tried to take December off.
Yeah,
Like,
bro, you told
no
me you were
sparring.
taking it off
I
neck
tried.
minute. I saw you throwing bodies.
I tried.
I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you
you
full
can't
of shit.
take
I
John.
tried. I would say that I'm partially full of shit. I think I probably only sparred 4 days in December. So that's
Wow.
that's like an average of once a week.
Yeah.
I tried to do 0. I couldn't quite help myself.
What about Benezi? Does he ever take time off? That was sarcasm.
Yeah.
No, he's
That
always-
dude's
he's-
always ready to
he-
go.
He's
uh,
always switched on.
Do you know
man.
what he does though? Like
He eats the bones of other people's children.
he is so feared in a good way as like a training partner. But I think the really cool thing about him, and I talked to him about this, is that he does that thing that I always ask people to do, where I say, grab people who are like newer and train things on them that you might not be awesome at yet, or things you want to get really good at. And he does that actually more than any other person at our gym. In part because he teaches all those fundamentals classes. And so he has access to people who haven't been training as long. And he made a crazy jump. We did, there was like a schedule switch that we made a couple years ago where he just got put on, like some of the newer classes in he didn't necessarily have the opportunity to train with like me and Dan and some of the other brown belts and black belts, but he was just grabbing new people. And he made the most insane jump in applied ability that I think I've ever seen. I mean, he just got so good and so I just started telling people, I was like, he's, whether he did it on purpose or not, he really stumbled onto something. I go, dude, I'm telling people, like, I know that like when a purple belt calls you out, like you want to rise to that challenge. Like when a brown belt calls you out, like you want to rise to that challenge. But like, I'm telling people, walk away from those guys and grab people who've been training for 6 months, people who've been training for 8 months, grab those guys and like work the theme of the week on those guys. But everybody's got that ego and everybody wants to like, you know,
that's the key though, isn't it?
It is the key. That's what I'm saying. Like the key is to just sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes like just set that down and go, you know what? I'm not going to try to prove myself against like the best guys today. Today, I'm just going to rep, you know, I'm just going to do work, you know. But
that was your advice to me. And I actually make it a point to go to his classes at least once a week. One, because he lets you spar a lot, so it's awesome. Two,
he does.
I get to spar with
I'll show you 2 techniques you guys are going to roll.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, thank you.
It's kind of like my North Star. Like he's the guy that I'm like, I got to get one in with him.
I told Travis, I go, Travis is like the cool uncle right now with all the techniques that he's showing. It's like dad's I'm like the boring dad. Dad's telling you to like go to bed early, eat your vegetables, and
get a path.
Yeah,
find your way.
Travis is like, hey, let's go to a liquor store. He's like, I'll buy a pack. Travis is like, I'll buy a pack of cigarettes. Check out this single leg X. You know, he's the cool uncle. Benezzi's definitely the cool uncle.
Yeah.
You know, and then Dan Sweeney's like your cousin who lives in Hawaii, who like everybody wants to be that dude.
Got something sick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Dude, being training partners with Dan is just, his brain is, I mean, I tell him all the time, it's fascinating.
Very cerebral when he talks.
He can literally watch something and become like an expert at showing you how to do it 5 minutes later. Like, breaks it down, like, so detailed.
So if you're listening, you don't know who we're talking about. Dan Sweeney's one of the instructors, the black belts at our school, and he's got a really incredible Instagram page. It's called DPS Breakdowns. That stands for Daniel Patrick Sweeney. DPS Breakdowns, and he does judo breakdowns. He does Olympic wrestling breakdowns, sumo wrestling breakdowns, and it's a really, if nothing else, it's just like an awesome follow, but also like a legitimate resource for studying, you know, virtually anything grappling. He's pretty takedown heavy.
Oh yeah,
you know, he's definitely into that stuff. But yeah, everybody's all the coaches are so different.
Yeah.
Everybody's so different, and I'm fine with being like the boring dad. I'm okay with it. You know, it's like that's going to be the sort of like foundational component. Travis can be the cool uncle. You know, like we can. It's
like a sitcom.
It honestly is.
It's like a sitcom.
Darla's like the crazy relative who comes in and is just so bubbly all the time. I love when she's around. She always gives daps. Like, what's up? Hey, what's going on? All right, cool. Yeah, the best energy.
I don't know where she summons that.
Oh, you can't teach that. It's natural.
Some people got it. She's got it. She's cool as shit.
Yeah.
She terrifies me, but she's super cool.
I think she's a great example. I'm not trying to like age her, but I think we all know she's a little bit older than, you know, us three, and you know, I think we would all also like to operate at that level.
Yeah.
You know, when we're her age, like that would be pretty incredible.
I went
it's exemplary. You know,
Grappling Industries with her last March, and she did adult, and her bracket had like 15, 20-year-old chicks. In advanced, I'm pretty sure, and she just smoked them all in gi and no gi.
She's probably smiling the whole time.
She's so game. Yeah, she was like laughing.
Yeah.
So I think if you're just talking about like within the confines of our gym, I think she's one of the best resources for what we talked about before, like the mindset,
the headspace. Yeah,
she's helped me a lot. I've seen a sports psychologist. I would say fairly extensively. I don't know. Less than 10 times, but still, fairly consistently for a while. He was extremely helpful, but he was one of her colleagues. She referred me to him. And that mindset thing, I think, is the least appreciated but most important thing specifically in like an individual combat sport to have the. I mean, you could be talented.
Oh, dude, at the high levels, it's all.
I don't even think. I
skill.
don't even think at the high levels. I think at any level of combat sports.
Any sport.
Oh, dude, no, any sport. Yeah.
Any sport.
No, any sport.
Okay.
100%.
Like, yeah, we've had people come out and talk to us, like, growing up. Like, in high school, we used to have people come out for, like, ice hockey and stuff. And, like, finding what you got to have your why and then go from there and break you down. Like, when Darla did that class last winter, I think it was like, attaining goals and, like, different breathing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like, she had SMART, like, the goal, like, acronym. And I wrote that on my board, and I think about that constantly whenever I'm, like, trying to gauge something. But it's just, like, something tiny like that. Like, I think everybody knows it. Or not everybody knows it, but...
What's the acronym?
It was SMART... Don't call me out like this.
I'm
like
sorry.
the S, I forget what the first one was. I think it was short, measurable, attainable, something, and realistic in time.
Yeah.
Like when setting out your goals. And I think about that.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, cool, because I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna be a black belt. I'm gonna fuck people up. It's gonna be sick. I'm like, all right, wait a second. Like that's down the line if you stick with it. But then it's like, all right, break it down into small little bits, like. And so, like, when I go into a class, like you say, every class is like, have little things that you want to work on. So I'm like, all right, cool. I want to try, I'm trying to foot pick. And that's, like, what I try to go for whenever we do stand-up every single time. Very rarely do I get it, but my setup sucks. But, like, I think about that every time. And then, what you say and then what Darla says into it. And, like, I constantly thinking about that. And I'm taking, like, Travis' setup when he puts the hand, like, a collar tie to put pressure down and into that. Yeah.
All right, dude, this isn't a private lesson. Relax.
Sorry, dude. Yeah, man, I'm just saying, like, the way that's a mindset setup, though. Like.
But don't you think? And correct me if I'm wrong, because I think you've played team sports at a higher level than me. But don't you feel like in a team sports setting, if you don't have your mind right, there's a bit more room for error. Like you have a little more like margin for forgiveness. Like you have a moment to get it together within the confines of a team sport. Whereas like potentially an hour long team sport, whereas within the confines of a 5 or a 6 minute individual combat sport, like if you have a mental lapse, there's really no time to get it together. Now, what do you think about that?
No, I mean, you could have a lapse in a team sport because, like you said, you have time to make it up. In like a 5-minute round, if you have a lapse, it better be short and it better be quickly made up for, or else you're going against somebody who's better than you. And now all of a sudden you're back. They've got your back, or they've got side control, and you're like, "Fuck! Now I got to work from here." But I mean,
and when they score, it's over. I'm saying when they score a submission, it's over.
Yeah, you can't really make a mistake against somebody who's better than you or like same level. But yeah, in rugby you can make up for it because you have time to make up for it, and you have somebody else who's going to help you out. You can't.
I noticed when I was playing team sports, like there was not that I like seeked this out, but there was always this like very thin security blanket of like, there's other guys on the field, so if I like do fuck up, like
that's real. That's 100% real.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
I could put it on Johnny. Fuck Johnny. He messed up.
And people do that. Though you hear
it's
people,
not healthy, but it's there.
You hear people pile on.
Yeah.
In team sports settings, there's always there's a scapegoat. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but with the team sports, like you have your job, like something you're good at. Like I was always a role player with rugby. Like I was steady. I never missed a tackle. I mean, I missed very, very few, but that's what I was known for, was tackling. So if I had my mental lapse and I missed a tackle, like guys would look at me like, what the fuck's your deal? But like I knew that's what I was going to do. And then you had like game breakers, like guys that were nasty, who kind of like floated around, didn't really do a whole lot a lot of the time. But those are the guys that would win you the games and, win you championships. But like, if you have your niche, something that you're good at and that you're relied upon, and you don't come through with that, people look at you like, oh man, is he all right? Is he concussed? Like, is he hurt? So, I mean, you have a lapse, but you can't really afford them as in the higher levels as you can at a lower level with rugby anyways.
Yeah, and the higher levels, don't they like legit look at each other if they mess up and they're like, dude, fuck you, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, what was that? Well, because you can call somebody out.
Yeah, they call you out.
What's a job? Yeah.
Like you see it in an NFL football game when guys like get a holding call or miss a tackle, like other players, like they're like, dude, what are you doing? Get your shit together.
Yeah.
Like, to their face.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I would crawl up in a ball and cry. Go
Yeah.
home.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's nice to be able to get that level of trust amongst the people that you're with. That you jam up, they're like, "What the fuck's your deal?"
Well, that pressure is also probably helps you perform in a weird way.
Well,
That's
yeah,
how
I mean, you're getting paid to be good.
yeah. Well, just letting down your teammates and knowing that they're going to pile on you if you mess up.
Yeah.
Builds the pressure.
It you feel the pressure, but at that level, you want it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, the mindset thing is the hardest. It's the hardest thing for me to manage with the athletes. You can teach people almost everything else. You can instill some level of conditioning, some level of strength, some level of technical ability, some level of speed.
Dude, you're sitting next to example A.
I know.
Like
What ability and speed? And
my
mindset?
my mindset is like my biggest.
I would say if you were like a video game character, I would say that, and don't let this go to your head. I would say you're
like the shitty hooker on Grand Theft Auto.
But I always perform.
Your level of like athleticism, let's say like for a local level, is very high. You're like a 9. For like, I'm not saying LeBron James is a 10, you're a 9. I'm saying like,
But it's held back by my brain.
I would say your mental game before, I don't know, was like a 3. Now you're
I would go lower.
Well, whatever. I'm just saying, like, your mind was far, far behind your body.
100%, dude.
It was far behind. But I think you don't. You feel like you've made some big improvements there?
Yeah, I made big improvements, but it's still like it's still my like if I'm not right mentally, dude, like it's just not gonna go for me.
It's the hardest thing for me.
It's the one thing I got to keep in check.
I mean, and it's just like a muscle too. I mean, it will atrophy if you don't work that. It's the hardest thing for me to deal with as a coach, is people who don't have their minds right, and it's so hard to tweak because they can't see it. If somebody's skinny or overweight, or you can, there's some visual manifestation of that. They can see it, but if there's an aspect of their mental game that's off, it is so hard to get people to recognize it and then correct it. It's impossible.
What about the other way? Like, do you ever struggle with people where it's like
not impossible? Sorry.
Where it's like the ability is lagging, but they're like not. I don't want to say confidence, but like ego is like way too far, and you're like, dude, you're not.
You could just choke those.
You're not living
guys out.
I guess in
though,
jiu-jitsu
like,
it's different because
yeah,
you're right. It's different in jiu-jitsu than it is a team sport.
It's very rare, but yeah, you're just talking about somebody who's delusional.
Well, I've played in team sports that there's always, maybe not at the higher level you get to, but there's always the dude that thinks he's like God's greatest gift to earth, but he just is absolute dog shit.
Yeah, and those
strikes out 3 times a game, but he's still walking around like he's the kid. I guess in jiu-jitsu you don't get that.
I mean, yeah,
it's extremely
you
rare.
get weeded out though real quick. Like no one wants to.
And everybody knows
nobody
that
wants to play with you. Yeah.
Right.
And then you go to management like, hey, this guy's a douche. And they're like, yeah, we know. We're trying to trade him.
There trades in your rugby league?
Yeah.
Damn.
Trades? Oh, wow.
It's real, dude.
Yeah, you got paid and stuff.
Yeah.
Dang. That's pretty cool.
So, like, how many people go to a game in the United States for rugby? Like,
I don't know, a few
rugby?
thousand.
Wow.
That's pretty dope.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. It's cool. Some of the stadiums pack it a bit more than others.
Yeah, so high school football in Texas is still a bigger deal, though.
High school football in Cleveland's still a bigger deal, yeah.
That is sweet, though, actually.
Yeah.
Traveling and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. Miss the shit out of it.
My number one pet peeve with athlete mindset, specific to competition, I started seeing it when I was probably a blue belt. Like early on, I noticed guys doing this, and I'd be interested to see A, if there are any hockey or rugby parallels, but B, if Forrest, like you've seen this in jiu-jitsu before, but I would notice that there'd be like a competition coming up, and my teammates at the time, like I said, I'm still newer to the sport. We'd have a competition coming up, and the guy in the locker room would say something like, Naga this weekend, right? Yeah. I don't really, I'm just going to go and see how it goes. Like, I don't really care how I do, I'm just going to like, kind of like try some stuff. And like, if it goes my way, great. And if it doesn't, like, I don't really care about that either. And I'm looking at this cat and I'm like, you train 4 or 5 days a week. You work hard. Like you you clearly care deeply about this. Why are you saying that
It's just a scapegoat. It's just a security blanket that we were talking about.
But I mean, I've got a whole, like, at the time I was asking myself, like, what the hell is this? Having done the sport for so long now, like I have diagnosed what it is. And it's this air of insincerity that people will have around competition in this case, but I mean, it's other things too. When I get somebody, and I recognize it now, like as a coach, like that first time I saw somebody doing it as a blue belt, and now I saw it at purple and brown and black, and I see some of my athletes do it. You know, there's nothing drives me crazier than somebody who's like going into something with an insincere attitude. It's like, it is. Do you know this insult? There's an insult, and I'm gonna date myself here because like it's gonna sound old. Try hard. Have you heard this
like
insult?
calling someone a try hard?
Yeah, Tommy Tryhard.
Yeah.
This to me, and again, I know I sound like such an old man now. Like, please stop laughing at me if you're in your mid-20s. But to me, that is the most ridiculous thing that you could call somebody. Like, the idea that it's an insult, it's bad that someone tries hard. That is crazy to me.
Yeah, but I think the insult...
Try hard is in weird context.
I think the insult
do I have the
is that
context
they're
wrong?
like...
Am I off?
Yeah, I think when I call someone a try hard, it's like a more like they're almost being like a brown noser to everybody.
Yeah, coaches around. Yeah,
coach. Yeah, like there's definitely people that do that. Like, oh, here comes John with his camera. I'm gonna fucking
Okay, so
I'm gonna
it's like,
find the nerd in here.
Yeah,
and then
I'm gonna go
put something
double
sick
leg
on him.
So are you
the new guy.
Are you saying that it's used more in the context of like somebody who's like just kissing ass? Is that,
Try hard. Yeah,
It
It's like
is
a guy-
used how you're saying it for sure amongst like locker rooms, I think. But I think in the general thought,
I heard it. Yeah, I heard
That's
it.
the guy that pushes it in a flow roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's
okay.
like gonna put somebody in a flow roll? It's like, whatever, dickhead, fuck off. Yeah, go away. You know.
Okay, so this must be a broader insult than I'm. But either way, I think the spirit of it is the same. It's just like the idea that if somebody really cares about something and like they're invested in it mentally and emotionally, like that's not
It's like a negative thing. Or something to be laughed at or mocked.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've over the you know, I don't know how many years I've been doing this now. Like I've just seen guys. I've been at tournaments with guys, and they're like about to weigh in, and they're having some nervous conniption with themselves, where they're just like, you know, like, yeah, whatever. I mean, you know, if this, I don't care how this goes. You know, it's gonna be, if I get tapped out, whatever. I mean, I'm just gonna put it all out there, and if it doesn't go my way, I don't care. I'm like, you do care.
Yeah.
And you need to own that first before you can move forward. You know.
I feel like that's a defense mechanism, though. It's like, okay, if and like inside they're G'd up, like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go into it, but I don't want to say I'm gonna win, because then if I lose, then I sound like an asshole. But then if I win, like I said I was going to do it, and I was expecting to do it.
I've heard guys say, I don't think I'm gonna do well this weekend, but whatever comes after that, and I say to these guys, and I've said as a coach, and I've said it, I go, don't go. And they look at me like, what? Well, what? It's better to go, right? No, don't go. Don't create a habit like that.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
That's your mindset, you know?
Because that's just going to be in the back of your head.
I've only done one competition, and then my mindset going into it was like, fuck it, let's see how this goes. But like,
I give you a pass as somebody who you competed at 3 weeks in, like. Wasn't it?
It was a few months. I competed at the beginning of March, so it was a few months in.
What I'm saying is you don't even have an investment built up at that point. What I'm talking about is people who are clearly clearly invested, you know, and but they're still saying that like, oh, I'm not going to do well, or I don't care. I'm like, just, you know, I don't know. It's a thing I have a hang up with.
I mean, that gets back to what you were speaking about earlier about having your goals set. Like I'll rock into a game. Like, and I'm going to go back on my rugby stuff. It's like, all right, let's see how this goes. I know that I'm going to be good at X, Y, and Z. Those are my things. And then if I have to do something outside of that, I'm going to go give it a shot and see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, you know, that's not my niche, or that's not what I'm meant to be doing or what I'm good at. So I could see like a parallel with that going into a competition. Like, all right, well, I'm good at this and this and this, but if I go to this spot, or they put me in this spot, then we're going to, you know, pray for it and see what we could find at the end of it. So like I could see where it's a cop out, and then I could also see where it's like, we'll give it our best shot. Because that's how I go into some classes sometimes. Like, let's see what we got here. You know what I mean? Like, you ever gone into like, I don't know, this is whatever, but like going into a role and like just not feeling it, like you're off.
Sure.
Like, all right, well, I'm gonna give this a try and see how this goes. But again, it's a role, and you're gonna get another one in a few minutes. But like, if I'm getting pumped, I'm like, fuck it.
I've noticed for myself when the room is like stacked, I'd perform way better because I have no choice but to rise to the occasion.
Yeah, because
no
you got the
matter
colored
where I
belt.
look, I'm screwed.
So that's a good attitude. I think that's the right attitude. What I've seen over the years is I've seen guys put in that situation where, as a defense mechanism, and this is what I'm talking about in terms of sincerity again, they turn it into a goof. So do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like it'll turn into silly time. Like it's silly.
I hate that.
Fuck those guys.
No, see, I probably
like
have the
those
bad.
guys are like, whatever.
I have the bad habit of doing that when I'm one of like the more skilled people in the room, because it's in my head. It's like, well, I'm supposed to be the guy performing right now. Like I'm supposed to be smoking everybody, but there's that hungry guy that's gonna come at me. But whatever, yeah, I'm still number one. But when I'm in the room where I'm like the lesser, it's like no.
But what I'm saying is,
straight.
are you making it like you're not making it silly time in a way that's explicit? Where,
I'm not
you're
grabbing
you're
dicks and
showing the
spanking
other
asses.
person like, I'm a little tired today, so I'm just gonna like let you pass my guard and lay in side control because like I'm better than you anyway, like that type of thing.
Oh no,
yeah, that drives me nuts.
People do that.
Sure. Yeah.
Just like I'm better than you, but so I'm just gonna chill here.
So let you do this, and then I'll just beat you out of it.
I'm just saying, like generally speaking, like present, like you explicitly will present an attitude that you're not taking the round seriously.
I think I've actually seen that from when I've gone with higher ranks.
Do you understand what I mean? What I mean? I really like. There are times where I will absolutely not be trying against somebody I'm sparring against for whatever reason, but I have a perfect poker face on where it appears that I am having a normal round because I want that person to feel like I'm sincere. I want that person to feel like I'm respecting them. I don't want to like try to clown them or try to goof on them.
Be like all nonchalant about it.
I've
definitely had higher ranks do this to me now that we're getting into it.
From my facial expression and like the posture of my body, you would never know if I was going really, really hard or if I wasn't, because like I don't want anybody to feel slighted. Yeah. Especially considering like that I'm the owner of the school. Like I don't want anybody to ever feel like I'm trying to slight them.
It's like they go for something, but you shut it down, and then they kind of like laugh, like, just playing around, and it's like, no, you were actually trying to hit that, and you didn't.
Yeah. I would cluster that in. For me, it's just all under the umbrella of sincerity. Like I know it sounds like a really strange quality to harp on again and again, but to me, like this is, the more I teach, the more I think like this is the number one quality an athlete can have, is just a person who is totally sincere.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying honest. Like that's almost a different thing. Like not necessarily but just sincerity. Like you're very clear about what your intentions are, and you're gonna follow through with that 100%. Like that is so important to me.
Something I noticed the other day, it was like right after promotions, so some of the classes were smaller, and I was at like a fundamentals class, and there was like a lot of newer guys, and so I kind of got stuck working with like some fresher guys, and I forgot like how fun it is to like just like be in a class and just like show them things and make them like have that light bulb moment, not in like the sparring way where we're saying, but in like the drilling way where it's like, well, if you do this and that, it's kind of like, and then you see like kind of brings you back to how you started this whole conversation with what was it like when you first started, Zach, and then it's like you see that light bulb go off in them, and then you're like, wow, look how far I've come. It's just kind of refresher.
It's super rewarding.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's why people get into they get into teaching, because it's just I mean, for some people it's natural, but for other people, like that's a dopamine hit every time. And there's nothing better than like having somebody who's just coachable, and like in addition to your Zach, your like bubbly attitude.
Being around the bros, dude, I'm about it. Yeah.
No, you're like we have these instructors dinners before belt promotions. Like we'll talk about like who's where and what's what, and like you came up as like one of the most positive, but also like most coachable people. For me, it was the positives, great, but coachable to me is like, that's like finding gold. When I can find somebody who like will just listen to what the coaches say, it's so rare and it's so valuable to us. Like when we find that, it's like, oh my God, like if I tell this person to do ABC, they're going to do it. They might have questions later.
Yeah.
Like, hey, why did you have me do ABC?
How do you track that from like a coach's perspective?
We talk, man. I mean,
No, just like, so like, I guess I'm just trying to like understand your like process in that. Like,
you don't. I'm not trying to blow you up right now.
No.
But
you're
I'm saying
fine.
like we
No,
don't
use them as an
like
example.
we don't like you're. This is gonna sound like I'm broing down.
Take your
you
pants
so
off,
hard
Zach.
right
These are spandex, dude. They've got a nice
dude.
stretch in these
No,
things. Thank goodness.
like guys who are as coachable as you are, like we can't forget about. Like you're not forgettable people. You understand what I'm saying? It's like you're like when the coaches are like, all right, let's talk about students. Like you're in the top 10 people we're talking about out of all the people we have at the school, because it's like everybody's just excited that we have somebody who's like going to listen to everything we say first and then ask questions later. And it's not because we have like some crazy ego trip. Like I don't think any of the coaches have an ego trip. It's just, it's so exciting to us to have somebody who's going to do that, because we know what you're going to look like in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know how good you're going to be in 5 years.
It blows my mind that, I don't mean to cut you off here for us, so just
No.
like you pay every month to go learn from somebody.
And it's not cheap, by
You know
the
what
way.
I mean? Yeah, you're like paying to do it. So it absolutely blows my mind when like you guys you'll bring up something like a drill and then like, all right, you want to do this, that. I'm like, all right, sweet. And then you have people in the same drill talking about what they saw on YouTube. I'm like, why are you doing that?
People still talk about YouTube?
Like,
Sure.
honestly, right?
I still talk about you.
But it's like you're paying this guy to tell you what to do. Do
Yeah.
what they tell you to do. Obviously, they're all right at it.
You've coached though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been coaching since I was like 17.
So
But like, I get that when you get a good player in, who's probably not like who couldn't be that good or is not that good, but they pick up what you say. You're going to put more time into that person because they're going to listen to you.
Well, you're investing back in your.
Yeah. But also at the end of the day, you're paying for it. Why the fuck would you not listen to what this guy's telling you to do?
I would say, be selfish. Be selfish and like just do do what they say. I should say do that if you believe that you have like a good coach and a good program. So I'm not even talking about school. I'm not even talking about jiu-jitsu. If you believe you have a good coach and you believe you have a good training program, whatever it is, you do everything that person says.
Yeah.
You do everything they say. If you're a curious person, like I'm an extremely curious person when it comes to training protocols, I blow up the guy who does my strength and conditioning. I'm always bugging this dude with, why do we do this? Why do we do that?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain this to me? But I do it after we're done.
Yeah.
Like I do everything he says, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And then after I'm like, hey, why do we, cause I just want to
Now
know
you
why.
can learn, yeah.
I'm just curious, but
yeah, I don't know. That's why I like to coach. I like it when players are coachable.
I do too, actually, if you want to pause it.
let me go first.
Okay. No, okay.
You guys want to play swords?
We did before you got here.
Shut up, man.
You know I used to strike, right?
Used to what?
6 months boxing.
Did you?
Yeah, watch your back.
Bro, I want to do some boxing stuff.
No, I
No, you didn't?
I went to like 3 classes and I was like, this is
This
too
is
expensive.
useless. I just want to learn how to be able to punch somebody in the fucking face.
I actually, a year ago, Jaron, he's got a pretty good kickboxing background. We put the gloves on and grappled. Talk about being humbled. Different animal. Anybody out there who thinks that just if they're really good at jiu-jitsu, like, yeah, it'll get them far in a fight.
Yeah.
But if you're fighting a dude that knows how to strike and do
And
jiu-jitsu,
see you later, bro. Yeah.
you're fucked.
I want to,
What are you guys talking about?
A little bit. Some striking shit.
Like, striking with jiu-jitsu, how it just totally different game.
Coming up.
Dude, oh,
I just wanna be able
that
to just
tickles my
crack
tickle.
somebody.
That excites me.
Well, it doesn't excite everybody, but I'm glad it excites you.
Left hand crack somebody, whack.
I just love that
fucking-
primal shit.
I don't love it myself, but it's definitely, there's a demand for it.
You ever been punched in the face?
Oh,
like
yeah.
Street fight punched in the face?
Yeah, sure. More punch in the face, way more in the gym, But yeah, I mean, like, I'm talking like when I was in high school,
Yeah.
not recently.
I picture you at like one of your concerts. There's like beef with another band. Battle of the Bands,
no,
2004.
Just hanging out front stage at a
Yeah.
Britney Spears Toxic concert.
In my other life as a
Dude, he opened up
musician.
for OAR. Watch your mouth.
No, we didn't. Oh, wait.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we
I was
did.
there.
No, high school.
Yeah.
I got punched in the face a couple times. If you didn't get punched in the face in high school,
So when I was big and like working security,
people flex on you.
Well, I used to think, I'm big, I'm tough, whatever. And I saw this dude get put in a rear naked choke. I'm sure I've told this story to you a million times. I saw this dude get put in a rear naked choke, perfect form, hooks in, locked it up. And I just remember looking at the kid being choked. That moment being like, I don't know shit about shit. I would be dead. And that is when I was like, I got to learn something.
Oh, interesting. That's what did it. You gotta go? You can go.
Oh, no, I'll hold it.
All right, you good? All right.
I actually wanted to bring something up.
Please.
But
But getting back to what you were saying, just to tie that up.
Circle back.
Yeah, we're gonna.
actually, let me pee first. I'm sorry.
I'm not. But
Anyway, shut up, John.
whatever it is you're gonna bring up, don't forget. But no,
it's really important.
we're definitely gonna do. One of my goals for this year that I did not check off my list for last year was just run one or a series of self-defense clinics, because it really did used to be like a very central part of our program was to like do jiu-jitsu with strikes. And people at our school just got so into competing in sport jiu-jitsu. I feel like it got shoved hard to the back burner, but there's demand for it.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's fun. It's different. Like, have you ever done it? Have you ever gloved up and rolled?
No, I would be about it though.
I'll
I mean,
bet
like
you
I would
would.
get, yeah. I don't know, it's just a scrap, yeah. But like I've got buddies who train at Strong Style who do all the MMA stuff,
Oh, cool.
and they like pitching me on coming out, and I'm like, listen, dude,
Traitor.
I'm not a small person, and it's the same thing going into Hurricane. It's like I'm not a small dude. I'm gonna get the shit kicked out of me by other bigger
'Cause,
guys
yeah,
who
it's
are
gonna
good
be-
because you're
yeah.
the big guy.
Sure, for sure.
And I'm like, I don't want to go to an MMA gym and try to do like an MMA intro class and just get absolutely hockeyed by some dudes who know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
So that's like kind of led me. I'm like,
It'd be weird to start MMA at this point in your life. Like,
I've had guys come to Hurricane and say they want to do MMA, and like I always say, you know, if you really want to be an MMA fighter, like you should go to Strong Style. Like that's definitely the place.
It's more their niche, right?
If you're in Cleveland, that is absolutely 100% the best place. It's the best chance you're going to have to be a successful
First ask them
mixed
how old
martial
they are.
artist.
yeah.
they're like 35. It's like, buddy, you missed the window.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you have queued up, buddy?
I want to bring this up for honestly, all like other students. But I'm going to use myself as an example.
I see what you're doing. You're setting something up.
Yeah.
What a host.
So 6 months ago, I didn't get promoted and I was crushed.
We know.
Right. No. But dude, looking back, wasn't ready. Best thing to ever happen to me.
Thank you so much for saying this.
No. I've been thinking about this for the last 6
I hope
months.
your wife doesn't listen to this.
She
Your children
wiped my
weren't the best
tears
thing
for
that
the
ever
last 6
happened to
months.
it was not getting promoted.
No, seriously, best thing
in
to ever
June.
happen to me. From like it forced me to go somewhere.
A
Like,
developmental perspective.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I just feel like me saying that to you on this platform, people need to hear your perspective, because I'm sure there's a lot of guys that probably feel how I might have felt 6 months ago, or whatever, confused or whatever. So, I don't really know where I'm going with this. I'm just putting that out there.
Let me pick it up right
Don't
there.
use me as an example.
No,
You just use yourself as an
I
example.
was using
you
myself
clown.
as an example to dive into the topic.
So what I would say is I can speak to this so I don't even have to use you as an example. I'll use myself as an example. The gym that I came up at in Chicago, it was a growing gym, and I was teaching classes when I was a blue belt, like very, very early on in my development. And my instructor, he was a great dude, but he needed help and he needed legitimacy and he needed higher ranks. So I feel that because he needed those things, he moved me along at a very, very fast pace in terms of like my belt ranking. So like the moment that I could have made a case for blue belt, I was a blue belt. The moment I could have made a case for purple, I was a purple. The moment, and so on and so forth. I think when I got to like late brown and black belt, it really leveled out, and I was really like kind of coming into my own. But because of that, I was never the sandbagged guy in my bracket. I've been competing just like Zach. Like 2 weeks into jiu-jitsu, I started doing competitions. So I never got a chance to be the best blue belt or the best purple belt or the best brown belt in the bracket. And so I would win some and I would lose some and I'd win some and I'd lose some. And that creates a very unstable habit in terms of winning and losing for an athlete. Now, I'm not saying I want to sandbag guys, because I think there are problems with that too. But dude, I'm doing it for you guys. Like I am, it would benefit me in a lot of ways just to have a really high ranked room, because it looks really good. I could have more people eligible to cover classes and help with classes. And it just looks, there are things about that are beneficial. And then from a business standpoint, people love easy belts.
Yeah, but there's also that thing where it's like a visitor comes in who is a purple belt and he gets smashed by a 3-stripe blue belt, and it's like, holy shit, this school's no joke. That is good for business too.
It's definitely good for the type of business that I'm interested in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But also, like, I guess my bottom line behind that whole story is I would never want to put anybody in the position that I was in coming up, even if they're not a competitor. Like, I never want someone to get their rank, cruise with it for 6 months to a year, and then look down at it and be like, I don't feel like I deserve this. Because that is a crushing blow to like your confidence as an athlete.
I think that would have happened to me if I got it 6 months ago.
Say that one more time.
I think that would have happened to me if I got it 6 months ago.
Okay.
And I
one more for the people in the back.
And I didn't realize it until I knew in my heart, like, I'm ready. You know what I mean?
I appreciate you bringing that up, man.
No, I wanted to.
Because it would have been awkward and like very preachy if I brought that up.
No, I don't give a shit.
Actually,
let me talk to you about.
No, I want to like share that with people for their own journey.
That's really cool. Yeah, no, there were, and
I'm sure there was guys that were absolutely crushed.
There are so many people where, again, we went out for dinner, all the instructors, and they're going, what about so and so for blue belt? What about so and so for blue belt? And I'd be like, no. And they're like, really? Not that guy? He's not going to get his blue belt. I go, let's let him cook. You know what I'm saying? Let's let him cook.
See how they respond to it too.
For sure. So like, do you know, I won't say this person's name because I don't know if they, want me talking about him, but we had an athlete go to Masters Worlds and won her division at purple. Okay. And then so she's coming back and like everybody's like, so like, you gonna give her a brown belt? Like, you can give her a brown belt? Like, I want to let that person like win that championship and then feel like, I want them to be able to like sit with it and feel like a champion for 6 months, a year and 6 months. Like, I want them to like actually grow into that thing that they just did. I don't want to immediately just like knock them up to the next rank. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's just all for the athlete's benefit.
No, I agree. Everybody knows who you're talking about, but
people are particular about their privacy. I want to respect that.
Sure. In that discussion, like when you guys are sitting around having that conversation, and like the other instructors are like, "So, what do you think about this?" And you're like, "Nope." They're like, "Oh, what do you mean?" Like, do you feel that you have to give a reasoning to your instructors, or because you're the boss, you could just say, "Yeah, nah"?
I don't feel like the boss. I don't feel like the boss at all. Like, I understand that, like, technically I own the school, but
there's part of you that feels like the boss.
Yeah, there is. There definitely is. I mean, I've got obviously a lot of like.
He picked up the check that night.
I've got, you're right.
That's a work expense. Yeah.
I wrote that one off. No, I mean, like, I have the most skin in the game, but also like I really respect what every single one of them has to say. And they've swayed me before. Like I've said yes to somebody, and like then I'll get some pieces of information that I didn't know, and I'll go, okay, maybe we're gonna ice that person for 6 months. But like one thing's for sure is like we go over it with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, I print out our entire roster.
Yeah, get into this. This is what I want to hear.
I print our entire roster. I go down name by name, and most of it, honestly, I can skip over because you know, there's like a lot of new people and they're just up for stripes. So we're striping them, and it's like, it's not as pivotal as like who's going to get their blue or their purple or their brown belt or their black belt yet. But we do, I mean, I've got the names, and we go over it person by person. I send like a list of candidates, out. I'll say these people for blue, these people for purple, these people for brown, and then we just shoot the shit. Like we just kind of go over it, and we kind of like argue about it, and tell stories about people. Like, well, I saw him training with so-and-so and he got his back and he tapped him. Like, oh shit, I didn't see that. Like, I wasn't at that class. Those stories get told, like.
I got beef with those stories.
Sorry.
And I'll tell you why. Because sometimes you guys are like, oh, you guys, get to a bad spot and work your way out of it. Next thing you know, you're looking up. You got your back taken, you're working on it, and John's giggling.
We're not
looking at you.
Just
You're like, dude, I'm working the spot.
Loser.
No,
He's like,
Yeah, give me your belt.
yeah.
we know, we definitely like, we know when people are like, when people are working and when people are,
You ever decide like,
really
all right,
going.
he's for sure ready, but I'm just going to make him wait just because.
You just
Um,
want this to be about you, Forrest.
No, not me. No, not me. Just in general.
No, like really ready? Like, no. So like, I don't even know if he's on the internet, but Joe V, brown belt Joe V, he like, we've had black belts come into the gym. Like when he was a purple belt, like he would like, I'd see him rolling up, like visiting black belts. He'd be
Yeah, he's
beating,
game.
visiting brown belts, certainly like visiting purple belts. And he's super solid. And I just told him, I go, dude, I think you're really coachable. Like I think you've got something special. Like you're a young guy. I go, I just want you to just prime up in the oven for 6 more months. Just give me 6 more months. I know you can beat brown belts. I know you can beat black belts. Like let's just mature you here a little bit. He doesn't care, because he's got the right attitude. Like he's not concerned with that. Where I think people tend to care maybe a little more is like when they're competing at competitions, like in a ranked format, people are like wanting to, I want to compete at purple. I want to compete at brown. I want to compete at black. Like they want to make that step and see what that level's like. And I understand, I understand that excitement, but
Do you hold it against somebody if they don't compete?
Hold it against? No.
So not in terms of holding, and not necessarily I'm not promoting this guy. He doesn't compete. Like we think he should compete, and he doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually I've got a complicated answer. So we can just stay on him, Joe, as an example. He never competes.
He's never competed?
No. I mean, like, let me not say that. That might not be true. I don't recall.
I think like maybe a blue belt.
I can't think of a time that I took him to a competition. I just can't recall. But I don't care.
Yeah. Because
I know him well enough to know that if we took him to one, he would do extremely well.
Yeah.
Where I take issue is if I offer it to somebody as a prescription, as something they need, which I do all the time. I go, you should really compete. Like, I want to see you. I've said this to a ton of people. So if you're listening to this and you feel singled out, I've told 30 people this. It's not you. But I'll tell people, like, I want you to compete, twice before your next rank, or I want you to compete 3 times this year. I want you to start hitting it as often as possible. If I offer it as a prescription to somebody, like where I feel like they need it for one reason or another, and they totally ignore me when I know that they've got the means and the schedule to do it, that bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
That bothers me a whole lot. But there are other people who just don't need to do it. Like, I know that they're game enough and they've got the mind to do that well. And so I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now there are other guys that I'll say, I want you to go the opposite route. I want you to chill out in the gym. I want you to flow roll. I want you to take it easy. I don't tell everybody to do that because not everybody needs to. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so some people, the prescription is go find your grit and go compete. And then for some people, it's like, dude, you need to calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've also heard you promote people and tell people, like, I told this guy he needs to be meaner and be like more aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, some people need that. And then other times I can't remember, this last belt promotion, one of the big reasons that I bumped somebody up was because they just invested in, it was Gorski. That's who it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the wrestler,
Yeah.
shaved head. That guy
Total beauty.
That
of a
guy, he's a beautiful man.
Total beauty.
That guy, but that guy can crush people. And
Yeah.
he was like, you know what? Like, and again, super coachable guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm just gonna start sitting down, which is totally unnatural given my wrestling background.
Dude, Corba.
I'm gonna start pulling people into my guard, and I'm gonna start like throwing triangles up, and I'm gonna like get passed and maybe tapped out for it. I really like that's. Now that guy, do I need to see him go compete? No. You know?
Yeah.
I don't need to see it. I know you can do it.
Yeah.
You know? So
He's a solid bro.
yeah.
Got a lot of time for that dude.
So it's just like everybody needs something different, but I don't think anybody needs to be
When it comes to
bumped up in
the
rank too soon.
promotions, do you ever like, I want to make sure I ask this the right way. Do you ever like separate like categories of like, okay, these are the guys and the girls that train hardcore, they train with the hardest people in the room, they're going to the hardest classes,
Sure.
they're really growing, and then here's a camp of people that this is just, they just come, they're very consistent, they come twice a week to maybe just fundamentals, and they're very great guys, coachable guys, they are getting better, but you hold each people to different standards based on which camp you put them in. Does that make sense?
It does. So I would say that I hold competitors to a higher standard.
Not even if they actually compete though, but just like are going to the classes with the like Joe V, for example. Like he's not a competitor, but
Goes all the
you'd
classes.
put him in that camp.
Yeah, I would say that I hold. Yeah, well, let's just call it like the people who you feel are a little more hardcore.
Yeah.
I hold them to a higher standard I wouldn't say in terms of technique necessarily, but in terms of applied ability. So like you can obviously be very technical, but given your age, your athleticism, your training schedule, you might not have the applied ability of somebody ranked lower than you. You might just not, you might not be able to beat them in a round of sparring, which is totally understandable. But if you have the athleticism and you have the schedule to train a lot and you have the talent and you're younger, I would definitely say that those people, generally speaking, get held to a higher standard because, I mean, why not? You know?
Right. No,
Because
I agree. I was just curious.
Yeah,
What,
because I know you can perform at this level here. So show me. Now if you're 58 years old and you're no hate, but I'm saying if you're 58 years old, you're an accountant and you train an average of 1.5 times per week, like over the course of X amount of years, you might accumulate a ton of knowledge. You might be able to like teach people really well, and given like all of your attributes and your place in life, you really might be able to do some impressive things. I'm not going to hold you to the same standard I would, somebody who's, 25 years old and they're training 6 days a week.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't make any sense.
I got a weird like respect for the guy who comes in like post age like 45.
Sure.
Hell yeah.
Because like they're telling their friends and their friends are all looking at them like,
what the hell's the
fuck
matter
are
with you?
doing, man?
Yeah. Go to
But they're
Orange
still
Theory.
Go for a walk at the Metro
Yeah,
Parks.
man.
And they're still showing up with guys half their age, and you could tell they just love it,
Yeah.
and it's so like abnormal for their lifestyle.
Speaking of that, what do you do for what do you do outside the gym? Like, do you have like strength conditioning routine? Are you shrinking because of jiu-jitsu? Is it eating away at your body?
Bro, since I stopped playing, I played at 230.
You played rugby at 230 pounds?
230.
What are
Like
you
last
at
year
now?
when I first came into the gym, I was like 225.
What are you now, 200?
Maybe 205.
Wow. Okay.
I only eat twice a day now. And I don't really snack, but I used to eat like 5 meals a day, like take in like 5,000 calories.
Yo, okay.
Now I do way less because I don't need the weight. I would like to be heavier, but I don't know.
It's hard with jiu-jitsu, man.
Yeah, I think my
hard.
joints appreciate it.
That's interesting.
Which
Yeah.
sport requires more cardio endurance? Rugby. Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd ask. Sorry.
I would almost just say it's different.
It's a
like,
different
It's
animal.
like what requires more cardio, like tennis or jiu-jitsu? It's like, well, they would both drown in each other's pool.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
fair.
And they really would.
Yeah. I don't know. I work out a lot. I could probably get like, I don't know, if it's at least 6 sessions in a week, but I mean, they're not all like weights.
Do you have like a trainer or a training protocol, or do you go to
No, I kind of make it up as I go. I have the luxury of going to school for it and wasting a bunch of money on doing it correctly. No, I don't use it.
Okay.
But yeah, I just kind of ad-lib my workouts. Like if I'm feeling it today, I'll try to throw some heavy weight around and see how we go. Like today, I just knew I needed to get one in. And so I went in the garage. I got to set up at home. I hate going to different gyms because I hate looking at people.
Bro.
Yeah, it's the
Whole
worst.
other podcast.
Bro.
Yeah, yeah. So like I stretched for a while. I did a lot of pull-ups, did a lot of different band exercises.
So I'm going to ask you an inherently dumb question. It's just a stupid question, but it's also
I'm excited to hear it. Then.
It's also one that people ask all the time, and so it's kind of fun to just throw it out there, even though it's a dumb question. Trainers who are listening, I know this is a dumb question. If you had one piece of equipment or one style of workout to supplement Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, what would it be?
Ooh, good question.
One piece of equipment, kettlebell.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Landmine.
A landmine. I like it.
But see, with the landmine, then you need then you need a bar and you need plates.
We can.
Let's not complicate.
Let's say.
Well, I mean, you said one piece. I don't know if we're taking it literally or.
Let's say it's a landmine setup. You can have a landmine setup.
Yeah.
And you can have a rack of kettlebells. Right.
Yeah, I like the kettlebells. I have a landmine. For fuck's sake. My brother makes them all, so we make our own landmines.
Really?
Like we
Oh,
make
cool.
our own sleds and shit. Yeah, we made our own racks and stuff for people. But I don't know. Kettlebells, you can't replace it. You have to be creative though.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I've got a creative mind when it comes to weights and using it for an applicable sense to whatever sport I'm in. Like I do a lot of like deep sits. I do a lot of hamstring movements and hip movements where I open I'm able to get like a full range of motion through my legs because coming into the sport, like I was always very flexible, but now I'm like, okay, cool. I could play a lot on my back if I can get my legs up over my head, and it's hard to pass. So I should be good at that. So I need to do a lot of movements where I'm lifting weights or I'm moving a kettlebell while I'm in like a weird split squat or like a really wide, wide squat, or I'm on one leg. I'll do a lot of weird shit because I know like I will need that at some point, and that'll make me stronger in that point. But very rarely are you going to see strong people get hurt.
Yeah.
Or stronger people lose. This, comes with strength as resolve and dedication to it. So when people are like, yeah, I just started to run a lot. I really cut back my weight training since I've been doing jiu-jitsu, or, for this reason or the other reason. I'm like, well, that's dumb as fuck. Like, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
You're not going to be good, or mentally you won't be good in a position that you thought you would be good in because you're not as strong as you previously were. So mentally it beats you down, and then you're thinking you're wasting your time. And
Yeah, you definitely got to have both.
Yeah. So it's just like train different movements, but I love a kettlebell.
For me, the payday for strength training is just injury prevention. Like forget for just for a moment about like being able to explode out of certain positions or press and frame out of certain positions. Just the general body stability of like having a good strength training protocol. I mean,
strong bodies tend to not get hurt.
Tend to.
It's going to happen.
No, but I really do think that's like an important thing to say. I mean, it's like not an absolute statement, but it is. I mean, they really do tend to not get hurt as often.
Mm-hmm. Like with rugby, I lifted weights and I ate a lot to build up armor. Muscles are armor.
Yeah.
And in a
so is fat.
Yeah.
I think fat gets slept on a lot.
Yeah. But fat looks gross.
Look at Forrest though. I mean, he's padded up.
Yeah, he's dense, right?
Should have seen me when I started, bro.
Insulated, dude. Insulated.
No, I mean, I think like the guy I train with has like a very performance driven approach. The only time we would ever talk about weight or body fat composition would be in the context of like a weight class.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I don't care if I go to medium heavyweight. I don't care if I go to heavyweight. I don't care where I go.
I've seen your diet, John.
Like cinnamon toast crunch. As long as like you're moving fast, sort of relative to you, and you're moving weight fast relative to you, and you're looking powerful, and you're not. And the big thing for me again is just not getting hurt in the gym. Like, who gives a shit what you weigh?
Yeah.
Who cares how much body fat you have? It's just got to be about performing.
Yeah. Like I've seen dudes with real sloppy rigs who are just fast as lightning.
It's amazing.
Who are nasty quick, or who like little dudes who could absolutely smoke somebody.
Oh yeah.
Like how do you do that? And they just got it. You know what I mean? That's just what they do. That's no issue. Like, I've played with guys who are out, like, boozing the night before games, and they rock up to games, and they're stellar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's to each their own.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Mantle gene.
I actually think part of that is because you see people do that. I think part of that is stress reduction and relaxation. Like somebody who goes and like blows off some steam the night previous to a big training session. Like, you know, you weren't at home drinking vegetable juice and like meditating and like all anxious. Like, you just went and just blew off some steam. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of those other things, but there's something about like drinking with your friends and laughing your ass off that is just so deflating in a good way.
Yeah.
And then you can go into practice loose and relaxed. And for all athletes, I would say all athletes to be relaxed when you are performing is essential. I'm not saying like lazy. I'm not saying that you're not focused, but I'm saying like, you know, a certain level of relaxation is so beneficial.
Yeah. Being comfortable. You know, and again, that goes back to each their own. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in a good headspace, whatever, you can do whatever you want. Like, if you're mentally checked in, you're good. Like, I haven't had more than 2 beers in 8 months.
Really?
Yeah, not because just, like, I don't have the time for it.
Mm.
Like, I would love to go out and booze, but when I have time off, it's like a Friday night or a Saturday night. But I want to go to the 10 a.m. classes, and I want to be able to do the 10 and then do the comp after, and then I want to do the 10 and the no-gi after. And I know my body well enough that if I get after it, because I don't really have a stop button when I drink.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
oh, interesting.
No, I don't have
totally
enough.
see that.
Yeah.
Are you at least a nice drunk, or do you get mean?
Me? I think I'm the nice drunk.
Okay.
I'm sure I haven't been mean since college. Yeah.
Did you ever have a mean streak in your life?
Not really.
Oh, good.
Because I have sports.
Fights?
Yeah. But that's just for me, like, talking shit to people, knowing I'm going to get punched in the face.
You're like,
but
please
like, I'm
punch me.
looking
People
for it.
fuck
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But like, I look for it just because, whatever. This
See, I see you at a bar
this could
looking
be
for
fun.
problems.
But also, I feel like you would get you would get in a fight, and you wouldn't hurt the person too badly, and you'd pick them up and buy them a beer after.
Yeah.
That's
how
I feel.
That was strictly recreation.
Recreational fighting.
Yeah. Like, okay, cool. I'm bored.
Okay.
Dude,
So
you were just talking about if
he's
there
not the guy
wasn't a
sucker
ref,
punching
you were going to
anybody.
guillotine someone to
Bro,
death.
because that is equal sport, dude. If
Oh,
you
I see what
rock
you're
up
saying. That's
and
the
we're toe to
competitor.
toe, slap, bump, I'm going to kill you. My goal is to, because that's the end goal, is to cut off oxygen
I'm with
supply.
that.
You know what my little curveball here? When people talk during rolls.
I hate that.
PSA, let's stop doing that.
No
Yes,
need, hey, hold
please.
up. No need for a PSA because it's on our website, on our training guidelines, that you're not supposed to do that.
Dude,
So, I mean,
it's ruined my day.
Yeah,
just wanna get
it
that
takes
out there.
everything out of the roll.
That's
I'm
a
like,
bit
you know what,
much.
go away from me.
Well, let them know.
that's a bit much. But yeah, it's there's no.
Stinky geese, go away.
Oh, I don't feel like we get any of that.
I don't.
There's some.
There's been people that have come and gone.
I've
Really?
incurred some stinky geese.
Oh wow.
And
Really?
like some smelly
Might be you.
shit. And it's not me, dude.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I've not gotten any of that. I suppose it's a good thing. It's rare.
But you
John, how do you feel about people asking you to roll that you don't normally train with?
My mentality, until I say otherwise, is go after the instructors and like try to beat them.
Yeah.
And it's not to sound corny, but like for me, it's a very samurai, like kill your master mentality. I want people to try to beat me. I've had situations where people visit
The shadow.
No, I've had situations where people visit from other gyms, and I can tell that they're being respectful, but like I'm not really in that place that day. So I'm kind of like I appreciate what you're doing. I think it's very respectful, but like you can try to win, and then they're like, oh, okay, and then it's a totally different role. Like I can tell when people are doing it, and I'll let them know like you don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying?
What's the coolest thing to date as the owner of the school that's happened to you? Not competition based, just like someone reached out to you, someone said, hey, I heard your school's badass. Like something cool that's happened to you. Someone's dropped in, someone's asked to come train. Nothing competition related.
Man.
This is why they pay me the big bucks.
I've got one, and I definitely won't say the guy's name. but this was probably one of the most, not only proudest moments in my life, but also one of the most sort of perspective enhancing moments in my life. We had this guy come in to train, and he was very, very, very good. He was a world-class guy. This is a guy who's like been on the podium at like black belt adult worlds. Like, good, really good guy. It's probably not who you're thinking of. So
no, I know you wouldn't talk that guy up like that.
So just hold
we
that
talked shit on that dude for a long time.
No,
it's not who I'm thinking of.
Okay, I might cut that part out.
Yeah, and delete it.
No, but anyway.
People don't remember who that was.
So it's this young black belt who
Dylan Dennis. Just say it.
Oh my God, it's definitely not him. This young black belt who came, and he was training, and we did like a closed instructor session where it was like all the instructors at the time, and then this guy, and it was like 6 or 7 of us for like a private rolling session. And he like ran through all of us. He ran through Dan, he ran through me, he ran through Bernez, he ran through everybody.
A lot of tattoos?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Well, I'll tell you after.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying nice things about the guy. I'm just the privacy thing. So he runs through all the instructors, doesn't seem particularly, tired after. It was pretty incredible. The guy's done some amazing things in jiu-jitsu. And so after we were all like sitting around kicking it, and like we were kind of talking to him about like how he's traveling the world, and all he does is he flies around the world and he teaches seminars, and he he trains and he competes, and this is just his life. And it's a very romantic thing, and we're all just kind of like, whoa, like damn, like it's crazy. And he's looking. Then it's just me and him sitting there. Everybody's changing, and he's looking around. And he goes, do you do pretty well here? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's good. Yeah, good living for sure. And he's like, you feel like there's actually like you can make money and you can kind of like make a living doing this? And I go, oh, for sure. And he looks around and he goes, damn, dude. He goes, you're living the fucking dream right now. And I go, whoa. I was like, wow. I'm looking at him going, this dude's living the dream. He's looking at me going, this dude's living the dream. And I'm just like, this is just life. Look, unless your life is really in the toilet, like basically whatever your circumstances are, you can always look at somebody else and be like, man, and somebody can always look at you and be like, It was like the time I did mushrooms in college. Like,
it's getting Rogan here.
No, I mean, I don't take as much stock in psychedelics as most people do. But when I was younger, I did benefit from it a bit. But it was very much like that. It was like a door in my mind blew open. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's just life. Mm-hmm. That's how life is, right? Yeah. But also it was like one of the proudest moments ever. I have this world-class competitor go like, I want to be you. Yeah. I was like, damn, that's crazy.
Because you don't see his life, probably sitting in a hotel room 5 nights a week, lonely and shit like that.
But the thing is, like, for
it's still awesome.
For a certain time interval, I think that would be incredible.
Oh, I got a hotel fetish, man.
I want to come back to my life, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it gets romanticized.
That's pretty sweet.
It was cool. How about you? What's your proudest moment? Get that purple?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
No, honest. Yeah, probably. Because it felt, because what we talked about before, like the standards we have and how it is hard to achieve in our gym, and they don't just get handed out. It felt like I was like even though I've been at the school since 2015, it felt like, damn, I'm finally in the club.
Sure.
That's kind of how it felt.
So much more valuable now than it would have been if it was like, yeah, you're ready, here you go.
No, right? 100%. That's what I was trying to get at earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So much more valuable. Have you had a light bulb moment at jiu-jitsu yet?
I think a bunch of little ones. I don't know if they're inconsequential.
It's like
there's something that happens around like the 6-month period of when you start training where you're like, oh, this is like carrying over to my life. And I think the more you do it, you kind of lose sight of that because you're so used to it. But in the beginning, I just remember like 6 months into training, I was like, oh no, this is good. This is therapeutic. This is good for me.
Dude, I knew that after day one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like I need it.
Yeah.
Like we've been with school and work, like I've been able to get in maybe twice a week, 3 times if I'm lucky, because my schedule sucks ass. And then I can tell when I don't have it. Like these last, like we get 4 days from work. So you get 4 days off because you work 3 days every other 5 days. You work 3 every other day for 24-hour shifts. So you get 4 days off. And we're on a break from school, and I was like, hell yeah. So like I had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, or
and then
Sunday.
John closed the school.
Sunday through today off, and I was like sick. I'm gonna get 2 sessions in a day.
Don't
I'm
make me talk
pumped.
about COVID.
But then, like, COVID, it is what it is. But I was like, so I get like depressed.
Yeah.
I mean, like I need it, like to be around people. So I worked more. And my wife's like, "You're gonna burn yourself out." I'm like, "No, I'm not. If I don't have that, then I got nothing."
The one thing I'd say to people like in that circumstance, I feel that too, is like every time I have to take a break from jiu-jitsu, and I learned this mostly from being skinny and injured in like years past, not that I'm not skinny still, is like if you ever have to take a break for whatever reason, like just look at it as like an opportunity to give your body a rest from jiu-jitsu and to just armor up. Eat some food, lift some weights, sleep more than, well, you can't sleep for shit given what you do, but
I got 6 hours in last night.
But I do, like I used to get really bummed when I would have to take a break from jiu-jitsu, and now I've reframed it in my mind where if I do have to take a break, I just look at it as an opportunity to get better in other spots or improve or heal up,
Yeah. Got to make the best of it. Yeah. But like I don't know, I've been trying to get to buddies at other gyms to see when they got roles and stuff with we're being closed down.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that.
Yeah,
People
Jones for it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get some mats. I'm like, fuck, I can't do it by myself, so I have to get somebody else to do it with me.
It's one of those things, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things you can't
and
do.
And then
by
you're
your
like,
own.
how much are mats? Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, like dudes at work, like at the part-time spot, one of the captains there is a brown belt out at Helson, and then Josh works there part-time, so they've got a mat in the basement.
Oh, okay.
So,
cool.
Those dudes could jam during the day when they're on. And, like, the dudes at the apartment I'm at, like, some of them have dabbled in it. But I was like, bros, let's buy a mat. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And there's a room upstairs. We're shopping around. We're going to try to put something in, but we can't tell the higher-ups in the city that we're going to do that because that probably wouldn't go very well. These assholes are meant to be working, and they're upstairs sweating on each other, giggling.
I mean, people need that outlet, and it's like I was really bummed to close this week, and I don't want people to have the wrong idea of why I closed the gym. Like I just want like my intentions to be known. Like I get that at this point, COVID is just with us forever. And it's basically already endemic, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I totally get it. Am I worried about you or Forrest or me getting COVID and getting sick and like having long-term problems? I'm not worried about that. Like I don't know what you guys' vaccination status is, but like I'm vaccinated. I'm gonna get my booster tomorrow. I feel like I'm in a good spot in terms of like being protected, blah, blah, blah. I'm not worried about like our young, super healthy population, like getting sick, generally speaking. I'm worried about, which happens all the time, like somebody dislocating something or getting a concussion or breaking some shit. And like, we just don't have anywhere to take them.
2
right
hour
now.
wait at one of the hospitals the other day. We sat in the hallway for 2 hours with this patient.
What was wrong with the patient?
I mean, he had one thing that goes with this, and I'm going to preface before I say what the issue with this guy is. People are going to the hospital for not emergency things.
Sure, of course, yeah.
So
sure,
you have 8 people sitting on stretchers in the emergency room for 2 hours time, and they're totally fine. Okay, I don't want to say totally fine, but it's not an emergency. So people are going to the emergency room without that don't have general emergencies. What they consider as an emergency, yes, but it's not an emergency on the grand scale of things, given where we're currently at. So this guy, he was didn't feel well, felt weak, was unable to stand.
Okay.
So he decided that he wanted to go to the emergency room,
So
and we told him it's a 2 hour wait.
911.
Yeah, 911. We rock up, light sirens. How you going? Get him in the back of the ambulance, bring him up there, and we told him beforehand it's going to be a 2 hour wait.
He's good with it.
And no one believes
I
that.
just wanted to step out for a little bit.
People don't believe that's an actual thing.
Right.
And then you get there, and he's like, "What the heck's going on?" I'm like, "Bro, we told you it's going to be 2
Give him some
hours.
Pedialyte and throw on a good movie."
Listen, man. Yeah, but like if you get somebody who's hurt, just like your message said the other day, somebody who's hurt, like with a broken leg or they've got maybe a laceration over the eye.
Yeah, you're gonna chill. Yeah.
Can you super glue it?
Yeah. They might tell you to go home.
Yeah, like come back later or go to an urgent care or, so I get the concern. I do appreciate that you're 100% transparent with why you do things.
But then the thing is too, there's also, and I've been saying this since the beginning of this whole thing, there's also got to be this balance between there's got to be a balance between public health and then just like practical business and like economic practices. So like come Monday, I said I was going to open the gym back up. If hospitals are still full on Monday, I'm still going to open back up because like we got to operate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like I'm trying to throw the hospitals like some goodwill and say like, look, we're going to give it a week, and we're going to give it a week because we have people. Dude, we've had people have heart attacks. We've had people dislocate things. We've had people get cut, break ankle. I mean, you name it. Like it's happened at the gym. I want to give the hospitals a week, and I want to give our students just a week of just like, okay, let's just not get caught up in that 2-hour wait situation.
Yeah.
But come Monday, like we're going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't really know if I'm a hypocrite or like how to square that up in my mind, but I just feel like I'm trying to do this like weird balancing act, and it's tricky.
I mean, it's never happened before, so however you want to do it, it's going to be. Some people are going to like it, some people are going to hate it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's just, but at the end of the day, it's your name, so you do whatever John thinks John needs to do, and if people don't like it, then they could just piss off and go somewhere else. So that's like the beauty of it, from your side, from your point of view. Like, if you're down to ride, you're down to ride with whatever John's going to say. It comes back to the coachable thing. I just
hope that I mean most people have been super cool in sport, but I just hope people understand like why I did it. Like I hope like the meme isn't like, oh, like we can't be scared of COVID forever. It's like no, it's not. That's not what I'm doing. It's not about you guys catching COVID for the most part. I'm just oversimplifying here. Like it's about like I don't want you to get to die in a fucking waiting room. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like
it's happened.
And also like if I want to be like really cold and calculating about it, it's also a liability issue for me and for the gym. Like if I know that this is the situation and I'm like it's just not, it's not good. It's not good overall.
No.
It's just not good.
No, it's uncharted.
I don't know. Do you guys got anything else that you had on your minds? I got to probably wrap into the next 20 or so. You got anything?
I got no fresh thoughts. I kind of came in whatever, ready to ride. I didn't really load up anything with me.
Nada?
Okay.
No, it was good.
Forrest, final thoughts?
Okay, never mind. Sorry, I do have a question.
Okay.
And this is an easy. I don't know if it's easy. Do you have a roster of everybody who is a member of Hurricane Jiu-Jitsu and have like their rank and their name and like the amount of stripes and shit?
Yeah, you want to see it?
No, stripes would be an absolute nightmare to keep track of.
Yeah.
But we definitely have like a student roster. I know just from like the membership registrations, like when everybody started, like that information is there as well. But and then I could look at any name and tell you what belt they are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
You
like
just know,
that's just I just know that. But stripes would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
How do you decide when someone's going to get their black belt? Because they're there, right?
It's just gotta be.
You just know.
It's
brown is like they're there.
Yeah, that one's like a guess. I don't know.
That's the hardest,
yeah,
right?
man. Yeah, sure. Here you go.
Because like you're halfway through brown, I'm assuming you're there.
I'll tell you how I look at it, and it won't answer the question, but it'll maybe give you an appreciation. I look at it like in some small way, I'm marrying that person.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah,
you got a real chance here.
So like for the rest of my life, I'm gonna have some tie to that person.
Yeah.
Some official tie on a certificate somewhere in like the IBJJF registration books. Like that's there. And you can't ever take that. People have tried to like oh, somebody does this or they commit a crime. This person's not my black belt anymore. But at the end of the day, like nobody ever shakes your name and you never shake off theirs.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, that's like, it is like marrying somebody in some small way. So like everybody up on that wall, I feel like very invested,
yeah.
Extremely invested. And it's, so if I'm not ready to like give you the ring.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I get it.
saying?
Yeah.
I know how, oh my God, I just said that and I realized how stupid it sounded.
No, it makes sense.
But it's just how I've always looked at it. It's just such a commitment. Like I feel so committed on my part. And then of course you have to have everything else. Like you have to be good. You have to know what you're doing. You got to be able to, you got
to be a bro. Yeah.
You got to be a bro.
First and foremost.
And then sometimes it's just like we talked about before with like certain people. I mean, there are certain people who are going to get their black belts who just have 15 or 20 years of jiu-jitsu under their belts and like they just deserve it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's that too. So yeah, I didn't answer your question, but that's,
God, I just opened up a whole other thing.
Go ahead.
How do you if you don't like somebody,
sure,
and they come to school and they're good,
oh bro, we've had that,
and they're like they're good, and
have
so
we?
like
I mean,
like
really?
how do you like
booted some people that
Talk-
were
how do you
good.
Talk
not
to me after.
how do you not and just continue to promote somebody who shows up who's good but is just a dude? You know what I mean? Like, how do you play that? Like, do you force them out? I mean, I don't like, or
Dude, they get weeded out.
yeah, like, I mean, but they're completely socially dumb. Like, they don't
Okay.
realize it that they're a clown, but they're good.
Okay. To get kicked out,
But you don't like them.
yeah. To get kicked out, you have to do something that's really dangerous, really disrespectful, really inappropriate. I mean, this is what you have to do to get kicked out. So that's the kick out level. Now, like, I mean, there are people in a large group of people. There's always going to be somebody you don't like, I guess.
Yeah.
There's somebody you don't love, But let me just simply say that I don't hate anybody at our gym. Like nobody ever walks in where I have like malice in my heart for that person.
God, this guy's here.
Yeah. No, I really don't have that. There's certainly people like I don't, that I might not like that much.
Yeah.
But like I said, this is just anytime you get a group of several hundred people, in a community, there's going to be a couple people that you just like don't jive with, and that's normal. And I'll tell you, I'm sure there's one or two students that think like I'm a douche or they don't like me that much, and I'm fine with that. Like it would be odd if everybody liked me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It would be very strange. So I'm fine with it.
What do you do with the guys? And I see them every once in a while, and sometimes people do it and then they stop or they just disappear. But you always see those guys who they kind of like, they're almost like questioning the technique or the coaching, and they kind of like shed a spotlight on themselves, and like they'll ask a question in such like
A way
I
to
guess
set you
arrogant,
up.
maybe like arrogant,
The only thing
almost like doubting what you're saying.
The only thing I mean, I'm aware of what you're talking about. It's just to me, it's a self-inflicted wound for that person
Yeah, you
because
just make them look dumb.
I don't have to do anything. It's everybody in the room knows what
Right.
you're doing. You don't have the social awareness to pick up on that yourself, but you're clowning yourself.
Yeah.
Because everybody within reason knows there's no move or technique in jiu-jitsu that's going to work on everybody 100% of the time. Like that's just a heuristic that we have. Like that's just a given that not everything works all the time. So like once you bring that up in a group setting as like the smart person who's got like a gotcha moment, like you look dumb.
Yeah.
So I just answer your question politely, and I just acknowledge the fact that everybody now thinks you're dumber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
I can skate right by it. You know what I mean? I just try to answer their question the best of my abilities, and then you will suffer the social consequences. Now that is not, I want to make a distinction. Somebody who's like genuinely intellectually curious or inquisitive, or even like people who are really new that look at a move and be like, that wouldn't work. I have no problem with that at all.
But you can
Yeah,
tell
but
the
you can tell the
authenticity of
difference,
that.
yeah.
though.
Again, it comes down to sincerity.
Yeah.
Like for me, I can bring everything back to this quality when it comes to students. Like people are sometimes sincerely doubtful. Other people, they're asking a question that might sound honest, but they're being insincere in their intent. Like all they're trying to do is draw some spotlight.
Yeah.
Right. That's a very different thing than being like an intellectually curious person and wanting to understand why and how a technique would work, and more importantly, when it might not.
Yeah.
I am so down with that. I love it when people like, I've had students blow up techniques that I was teaching, like, frankly, out of tradition. Like, my instructor taught it, and so then I taught it, and then, you know, we start training, and like, you know, like me and Dan used to do this all the time. Dan and I would like troubleshoot techniques back at like the shoebox days, like way back in the day, and like we'd be like, that doesn't work.
That's
Like,
kind of what
like,
I do with him with stand up now. I'll be like, well, what if I do this? And he'll be like, oh, wow. And then next week he'll come back
Right.
and be like, oh, I look what I found if you do this.
and that's some like higher level
Yeah.
game theory that you guys are doing. Like, what I'm talking about is just like, you know, like a detail of an escape that I learned like in my lineage that I've just been teaching because that's the way I learned it. And then like we pick it apart, and you have to let it go, and you have to recognize that you have, you know, you've been teaching something that was good but not great
It's outdated.
for a long. Yeah, it's just exactly. Just you getting a software upgrade. That's it. You know.
Whose game do you look up to?
Just like
I've never
JT Torres. No, number one, JT Torres. For anybody listening to this, if you have a Flow grappling account, I want you to go and I want you to check out JT Torres versus Wagner Hocha. And this comes back to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mindset. JT Torres versus Wagner Hocha. Not a match with a lot of good technique in terms of like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It was very sort of stalemate because they're both very, very skilled guys. But the whole time, Wagner is like collar tie chopping and face pushing and talking shit to JT. Like, too slow, JT. JT would take a shot. Like, oh man, you're too slow. You're not going to hit that. Like, talking shit, getting in his head, chopping his neck, pushing him, shoving his face, fingers in the eyes. JT Torres, like just a person made of steel and ice. Just eyes on the prize, locked onto his chest, like just staring at his chest, and just played his game for 10 minutes and got through all the bullshit and won the match. Like, the most iron mind I've ever seen in jiu-jitsu. In addition to the fact that he's got incredible technique.
Yeah.
Like, but just the way that he handled, not one time does he acknowledge any of the shit that Wagner's talking. He doesn't smile, he doesn't smirk, he doesn't raise an eyebrow. He is a laser. It's like the most boring but also most inspirational match I think I've ever seen in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah, go check that out. Seems like a good place to wrap it.
Yeah.
Yeah.